I gratefully acknowledge this series was recorded on the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Indigenous peoples have maintained stewardship and jurisdiction over these lands since time immemorial.
What does it say? It says, only broken horses know to run. It just doesn't seem okay now. But got to put a little Brandy Carlisle quote
everywhere,
in there, I guess.
Always.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Welcome to Mistergendered, the show where we swap labels for lived experience and get curious about life beyond the binary. Today we'll meet Gwen Lister, a substance use and mental health expert, a person in recovery, a social worker, and a public health nerd. She's the co-founder and team lead at Vancouver Junction Community Centre. Let's join the conversation. So why don't we start out with the snapshot view of who you are today, how you identify, your age, if you would, pronouns, culture, background, anything that's labels that show us who you are, if there are any.
I describe myself as queer in general most of the time because I think it just gets at both my sexuality and my gender. But I'd say like non-binary or gender diverse, gender queer. And then like she pronouns, they pronouns, I'll answer to he pronouns. So could be any of them. Been with my wife for like 10 years, got a cute little dog, got a really great job. And I'm, been in Vancouver now for about 8 years, a little bit more, 8.5. Moved from down south, grew up in Colorado.
Okay.
And near Denver, Colorado. And yeah, grew up Mormon. Both sides of my family are Mormon since like the 1830s.
Wow. Okay.
So since Mormonism started. And so, yeah, predominantly most of my extended family is still Mormon. And then I was the first one of my immediate family, as well as my, at least that I know of, my extended family was like kind of the first to leave. So,
wow.
Yeah.
How many siblings?
I'm the oldest of 5. That's why I'm so short. That's what I tell everybody. Because when you're the oldest, sometimes you have like kind of the weight of the world on your shoulders.
And sorry, how old are you, if you don't mind sharing?
I'm 40.
You're 40.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about, your journey from Mormon Central to today.
I always kind of say that I grew up in a glass closet.
In a glass closet?
Glass closet.
Oh,
so like, what does that mean? It's kind of like I was locked in the box or in the closet and was trying to really try hard to be hetero and straight and cis, and was trying kind of pretty hard, but everybody, at least who knew me really well, could really tell. We just didn't talk about it, and then I just kind of had to stay closeted, but yeah.
When you say people who knew me well knew it, do you mean family? Do you mean friends? Do you mean
probably
were you
both.
Just kind of different tomboy? Like what was
very
what was
different.
The what made them see you or as different?
I think like tomboy definitely was a word that was used to describe me a lot. Just kind of like always wanted to be like going hiking, going camping, starting fires. I don't know, like I'm trying like that. I don't know. Yeah. Doing sports, helping my dad. I love fixing stuff. It's like, saying like all these stereotypical like lesbian things, which is great too. But
how was your dad with you and that? Did he encourage it, or was it okay?
I mean, I think especially, my parents and my dad would always call me kind of like Gwen's just kind of like a force of nature.
Huh. Interesting.
Because then I had such such strong and visceral responses to when they would try to fit me into, like a feminine box and female box. And we would have power struggles all the time. So I think in general, my parents did a good job of kind of trying to let me be myself at home. Mm-hmm. And then when we'd get to church, I had to turn into somebody else and someone who wore a dress and curled my hair. And so I think they were kind of doing their best to maybe try to help me be who I was and know kind of that they couldn't really fight against it because it was so strong in me.
Yeah.
And they definitely supported me doing sports and whatever other hobbies. And
were you at Mormon school? Or
so I wasn't at Mormon school. We went to public school. So I did have friends who were not Mormon, but definitely Mormonism, at least for me, grew up pretty Orthodox Mormon. So it was church was not just on Sundays. It was every day. Every day you were doing something. And so that really community feeling was really insular. In some ways it was really awesome.
Right.
Because when you're in a community like that, it's people got your back. But if you don't fit in with the rules, then you're ostracized. So I think my parents were helping me and themselves to kind of toe the line a bit, where it's okay, well, Gwen is this way. We kind of get it, but there's not a lot of language right now. And definitely I didn't know that there was anything gay. I didn't know that there was anything gender diverse or queer or anything like that, or trans. I had no idea that any of those things existed when I was a kid. Right. So just kind of kept trying to be myself, and it just got a little bit more confusing as I got older. Because then when you're a little kid and I'd be allowed to do certain activities that were just for boys. And then as I got older, the church and society in general just kind of puberty comes. And they just keep trying to funnel you kind of into a box. And so I was not always allowed to do certain things, and I really always wanted to. So I'd just kind of fight as much as I could.
Yeah.
Fight against clothes that they would put me in, fight against... I mean, we were born into it. So Mormonism and the strict rules and hyper religion, it was like water in the beginning. You're just born into it. You're indoctrinated. So it's hard to know what you're missing or know what should be different. Just kind of came out in my early 20s. I wrote it, I put it in a letter for people to read. That was easier for me than telling everybody. And there's kind of a lot of people to tell. So,
and what about when you went to if you went to a public high school? Then you're around kids who are not Mormon, and what was that like? Did it influence you? Did you know queer kids? Were there any?
So I did. I learned about gayness, and definitely there were a couple of kids that were out at my high school, but not really many.
So where did you learn when you said learned about gayness? Was that? Where do you think that was?
I knew how I felt really early on. So when I was 12, I had my first real serious crush, where I figured out the difference between liking someone and having a crush feeling. Those are different feelings than dread and anxiety. So I think 12 is when I kind of figured that out. But I still didn't know a lot of people who were out. Or if I did know people who were out, I wasn't really spending a lot of time with them. Because I was attempting to, survive and keep it hidden. I just really started kind of exploring that sexual part of things when I was 16. I didn't really know a lot about it until I came out, and then later met other people and was able to maybe go to a couple of gay bars and talk to other, queer people, and really I think, college, university was probably
when you were able to get away from home and
kind of get away from home and really started to then learn about queer culture. And then it was kind of like it's kind of like a community learning opportunity in that sense, I think, because I just like was having to, like disavow one side of my learning and then go into another side.
Just the letter. So what happened after the letter? Like were you at college then when you wrote it, or?
Yeah. I mean, in Mormonism, when you turn 18, you start going to what's called a single adult ward. The goal is like to pair up and get married. So I was like in that setting and trying to survive.
So you went to the
I went
the ward.
I went to the ward. I was still I was very Mormon. I that's when I started to wear pants to church, which was very like bold.
So this is just after high school?
This is like just like after high school. It's a little bit of a blur too, because I'll just say, like, I'm a person in recovery too. So like there was kind of like maybe like they're about a 10-year period, and sometimes there's like things get a little jumbled and some holes in it, but
makes sense.
But kind of came out around like age 22, like when I was 22. And I had gone to a couple of different schools, was working, going to school, tried going to Provo, Utah to spend some time there, because that's just like, if you want to, cure yourself of gayness, or if you want to try and fit in, then you kind of go where all the Mormons are, and that didn't work. But
so was this on your own initiative? Like, were you just struggling with what was going on internally and trying to say like, no, I'm not this, I'm going to fix it kind of thing?
Yeah, because it's, so trying to like pretend it wasn't there, attempting to date men. It's just never worked. Right. And then luckily in Provo, I did find my friend Joe, who was at one point engaged to like my best friend. And then he was gay. So then we were like, okay. And they broke off their engagement. And I was like, well, that's good, because I was jealous, because I was in love with her. So I was always falling in love with these girls at church, and these women. And it was really stressful and hard.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to figure that out. And
oh my gosh.
It was just like, felt like torture sometimes. So luckily found Joe. And then over time, we kind of helped each other over time to kind of come out and figure out, I think it's, time to come out. And then when you come out, that's one thing. But in Mormonism, they say, okay, well, you can be gay, but you can't act gay.
Oh.
So then it's just like, I don't really know if that's not really going to work for me. So I ended up, ended up leaving the church probably about a year after I came out. And after I sent that letter. And then I think so basically there was just kind of like a year of that self-exploration and that process of not just coming out, but realizing like there's just no way that I can, just not be true to myself. So I'm just going to have to do it. And then it was hard to choose, between, church, family, the community I grew up with, because then I knew that I would be othered.
Yeah.
But, eventually I got to the point where I had to make the choice. Yeah. So, I mean, it was the best choice ever, for sure. I'm really happy that I made it.
But what a hard decision.
It was a hard choice, yeah.
And did it take some time to unlearn the negative thoughts and this is bad, I'm bad?
Oh, yeah.
I will go to bad places.
Yep.
When I die.
Yeah. I mean, I think luckily I was like grappling with that probably from, at least age 12, when I figured out kind of like, this is kind of like what I am. So at least I had been grappling with it like a long time. So then by the time that I came out and left the church, like obviously there's always leftovers.
Sure.
In terms of like, I don't know, childhood and trauma and like the culture you grew up with.
Yeah.
But by then I was just ready to be done and ready to break free.
Yeah.
And by the time I made that choice, it was like, nah, this is not true.
Yeah.
It's not true that I'm bad. It's not true that I'm
Yeah.
shouldn't be who I am. And so,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense. And I think you're right. I think you, others are, even though you're kind of working on it your whole life.
Yeah.
Like as hard as it is, or as much as there's some kind of internal fire or force of nature that seems to those of us who manage to make it out kind of,
Yeah.
To propel you forward. So you are kind of processing it all the time, unconsciously or consciously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just kind of takes up a lot of your brain power, a lot of your time.
Emotional power.
A lot of emotional power.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So it was just got lots happier after I left. I mean, it was really hard, just feel like the rug's pulled out from underneath you. So 20 plus years of knowing one thing and then having to kind of start all over again was terrifying.
Yeah.
But, lots of people have done it. And I was glad that I was able to do it because I would have probably just withered and died if I would have stayed.
Yeah.
So, it was good.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Made it.
Made it.
Made it out.
Made it out. Hopefully made it easier for my siblings to make it out too. And
consider
maybe some other people as well. So.
Yeah. A huge role modeling.
Yeah.
And so how did you end up coming to Canada and well done.
Yeah.
Right now. Yeah. Must be happy about that.
Very happy.
Yeah.
It was good timing. So that's nice how things worked out. Don't want to go back for now. Met my partner, Sarah, in Denver. We met at a women's 12-step meeting. But then eventually we had both been working in kind of like recovery, substance use, mental health, inpatient for a while. And we worked in like detox and with adolescents, and she'd worked inpatient psychiatry, and so we just needed a break. So Vancouver seemed like a good spot to come. Neither of us had ever been before, but says, okay, I mean, supposed to have like progressive drug policy there. There's probably some good work for us. And then was able to get, healthcare, take care of my chest. So
tell us about that if you would, kind of where you were at and what led you to that decision, and as much as you want to tell us.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that I had ever felt like I never felt right having boobs, having breasts. It was just kind of like something that I couldn't stop once puberty came. So it never really felt natural to me. I felt a lot of gender dysphoria, specifically like around my chest, all the time growing up. But I mean, it's like a $40,000 to $50,000 surgery where I come from. So it never really seemed like it would be an option to get any sort of surgery, especially when I was younger. A lot of us weren't really necessarily thinking that would be an option. So moving here definitely wasn't the first thing on my mind. Mostly just survival was the first thing on my mind, and immigrating and getting work. But then I was working in social work here, and was working with one of the trans specialty care programs, and helping a lot of people do their surgery assessments and getting gender affirming care. And then a few years later, I was just like, okay, I feel like we're kind of like stable enough now in my career. I've got some sick time that I can take. And so I think it's just time for me to do it now, and never look back. I mean, happiness or elation or whatever when it was finally done, and just being able to have shirts fit the way that I always hoped that they would. Because, like finding clothes as a gender diverse person is not easy.
Not the easiest, yeah.
Like you have to kind of go with what's best, or, maybe you can afford, a couple of like, I don't know, a couple of expensive binders or like.
Did you wear binders?
I wore binders, yeah. I started binding when I was in like 7th grade. And we didn't have binders back then, so I would use duct tape. And and I would use what's that, like gauze that you put around, or what's that?
Yeah.
An ace bandage.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'd use ace bandage. And I started binding really young. And I didn't even know other people did that. It just made sense to me.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just because you didn't want them, didn't like how it was.
Yeah, like wouldn't recognize myself in the mirror. Just was annoying.
Sure.
I wish the sports bras were tighter.
Yeah.
And like it's expensive to get really good sports bras. It's expensive to get binders, so I just used an ace bandage and did the old school way.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then when I got older, definitely was able to save up and get a couple of good binders, and you just kind of figure out bit by bit the types of clothes that maybe works a little bit better for your body or whatever, but it's never quite fully there. Or some days I'd be feeling like I could wear it, other days I'm like, fuck no, I can't. It's just too hard. Yeah. So then getting top surgery was fabulous. Like obviously it's painful, very painful. And definitely, went in with the knowledge that I wasn't going to be able to have any, like painkillers besides like Advil and Tylenol when I left because my substance use addiction problems in the past. But luckily, have good support, had built good community around me and chosen family around me and things. And was able to recover enough, and then just feels fun to be able to go and to your closet and just wear whatever you want and not having to like make sure it's not so tight that you can't breathe or whatever. So anyway,
do you remember how long ago was that?
2 years ago. This month actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
recent. Yeah.
Yep. So 2023, November 2023.
Almost your anniversary.
Yeah.
And do you remember that feeling or the feeling you had, in your body and your mind when you kind of woke up or knew, like, was it right away when you woke up from surgery, or was it a little bit later when you could look in a mirror or bandages off? Or
probably like bandages off. Bandages off for sure. I think. I think like for the first few days or whatever, just like pain.
Yeah.
And just not feeling good, like just so tired, just sleeping. But yeah, then taking bandages off and, even though it was still healing, not exactly pretty or whatever, in terms of like just, still cuts and still stitches. But yeah, I felt like, okay, that's better. That looks more like it, and that's, my partner says that too. Sometimes it's just like, when I'll just more easy to walk around, with my shirt off or whatever. And she'll just all of a sudden say it too, just being like, yeah, I can't believe that wasn't like always you.
Yeah.
And it's like similar, like when I cut my hair, as an adult, cause I had to grow it out as a teenager. This is just like part of the deal.
You had long hair?
I had short hair when I was young. And then when I was a teenager, I grew it out long, so that my mom would stop curling my hair. That was our goal. That was our deal. And then when I was an adult and I could cut my hair, I was like, there you are. Sweet. So I think, surgery was like another point of like, cool, there you are. Yeah.
And did you, if you don't mind me asking, did you have keep nipples or tattoo nipples, or do you take your shirt off in the summer? Like what's your...
Well, it was hard to decide what to do. I was a little anxious that the nipples wouldn't work or take, but so I kept my nipples, and so I've got that. And then I do, when I go swimming, I take my shirt off in the summer and I'm going into the ocean or things like that. I take my shirt off. I'm mostly more embarrassed about how pale I am than... I don't want to like blind people with my whiteness. But yeah.
But you feel okay taking your shirt off?
I mean, it is I do feel okay doing it. I don't know how other people feel always, but I've spent a lot of time in my life trying to not care what other people think.
Yeah.
And not just like, if I cared what other people think, I would not be where I'm at. So I just kind of got to do it.
Yeah, good for you.
And just kind of see what happens. But definitely it's scary. So, you know, no judgment about what other people do by any means, of course. But that's just kind of, I'm like, well, I didn't get this to not enjoy it. And to, so, and now I can. So it's nice to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you. And was that kind of like short hair, top surgery, that kind of land you in, you know, who you feel most comfortable in, or is there more things you would do or want to do?
I mean, yeah, for the most part. I mean, I think got a little eyebrow ring that helped. Got a couple of tattoos, might get a couple more tattoos. But in terms of like gender affirming surgeries and things, I feel like very satisfied and very myself, very done.
Yeah.
With kind of like maybe like specific medical interventions and things. Yeah, for now and for me, I'm feeling very satisfied and comfortable and happy.
That's great.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah, and really grateful that I'm able to be here and have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, you know, still don't get that opportunity. So, yeah, I'm grateful it exists.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important to show and tell that there are options, you know, whether it is just cutting your hair or maybe changing your clothes or maybe it's having top surgery, but it's one or two or not, or it doesn't have to be like one way or the other. Like there's a lot of ways that people feel affirmed. And, you know, folks just have to find the way that works for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I love that part, you know, and that's what I think the kids probably are getting right more and more these days is like, there's lots more words to describe how people identify than when I was a kid. There was only a couple, you know, so more vocabulary, and then people are exploring more and not having to always fit into you're either straight or gay. You're either, cis or, you know, transgender wanting to go to the other binary or something like that. There's a lot of in-betweens. So that's nice.
And do you feel in between, or do you identify as I mean, you said non-binary, so, right? You said all of them. So between.
In between. Yeah, it's hard to always know exactly how to describe it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's
because I mean, I was raised female, and I do identify probably a little bit more with females, and like feel, you know, spend a lot more time with females and women, perhaps, than with like all men or males. And that's also, you know, probably just because of the way I grew up. There was a lot of splitting people up by binary gender or whatever. I feel a lot of solidarity with women, with like lesbians, with like femininity. There are parts of me I feel like they're feminine, and I don't want to necessarily like get rid of all of that. But I just definitely always been more on the mask side of things, and especially of like presenting in my gender and my clothes and things like that. But I just like I definitely, I guess, instead of like growing up thinking, oh hey, I want to be a boy, I want to be a man. That wasn't necessarily, it was like, I just want to be me. And I want to be allowed to do the types of things that I enjoy and to dress the way I want to. Yeah. And to just be and hang out and not have to be put in this camp or in this camp.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of,
that's it.
Yeah. That was, so I think that's probably maybe the most easiest way to describe it.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. And it's so kind of pure in a way. It's, you know, we spent all this time struggling and fighting against, folks who are trying to like squish us or make us not be. And it's really pretty darn simple. Like, I like chopping wood, or I don't know. I mean, it's silly, but it's just, we are in the middle. Whatever that looks like, and just leave us alone. Thank you very much.
Leave us alone.
Or be nice.
Or be nice. And also, it's just like,
Okay.
It's just a more accurate representation of like human reality.
Yeah. Yeah. And how about being misgendered, washrooms, how's all that for you?
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, I would not drink water at school, so I wouldn't have to go to the bathroom.
Really?
So I grew up like, especially in like elementary school and junior high, I was like terrified because of some negative experiences I'd had in washrooms, being bullied and that I was really avoidant. So I would like not. I spent like the first 8 years of school being severely dehydrated.
Aw.
But I mean, I made it through. But yeah, definitely misgendered a lot in bathrooms. I mean, I played soccer growing up, which was amazing and awesome. And then like when it got to high school soccer and time to try out, I was like, that's when you started to be like in the locker rooms, taking showers. I'm like, I could not cope. I was like, kept falling in love with all my teammates.
Yeah.
Didn't understand what really was going on. And I'm just like,
That's so
I just
hard.
can't. I'm just going to do something else that's a little bit more of a solitary sport because I just can't be in these locker rooms anymore. So, yeah.
Breaks my heart.
Oh, yeah. I'm not trying to be a downer or whatever. It's just kind of interesting and funny, like the different things that come up and the different choices that we make.
Yeah.
And then you're like looking back on it and being like, oh, well,
yeah.
Who knew that's why I chose that? Like, that's not why I told my parents that I chose that.
Sure.
But looking back, it's definitely.
That's why.
Could
Survival.
not cope. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we should start the iron bladder support group.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not the only person who did that, right? So
I've talked to a lot of iron bladders. Through this series. 100%. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And nowadays I'm like, clear in, clear out. That's my motto. I gotta stay hydrated.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, still get misgendered in washrooms. And I mean, I don't know. I guess you just get used to it and you kind of have your automatic response that you go to.
Yeah.
I tend to be a bit more passive. So I'll go into a women's washroom most of the time. Sometimes I go into the men's, but going into the women's washroom most of the time, and I look down and just try to make people not feel, I guess, like scared or uncomfortable or like they can say anything to me. I go in and I keep my eyes down and that's the same with locker rooms. I'm like, you don't, as far as you know, I'm not even here. Looking. I'm not even here. I just gotta empty this bladder. I just gotta pee. I gotta wash my hands.
I'm out.
And then I'm out.
Yeah. I'm invisible, actually, if you didn't notice.
You can't see me.
Cool. All right. Well, then how about some fun stuff? Fun stuff. Like, what do you do when you wake up in the morning? What's the first thing?
Take my meds.
Okay.
Take my meds.
And pee in freedom. No.
Yeah, pee in freedom. I'm like, oh, Lord, I'm like 40 now, so I kind of do that a few times during the night.
Right.
But, whatever. No, I just wake up, take my meds, eat breakfast, and then I usually just like, I try to listen to something like maybe a podcast or music that makes me feel good, centered. The type of work I do is not the easiest. So I really spend most mornings kind of trying to center myself.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So
what sort of clothes is it how you are now? Like what do you love to wear that makes you just feel you and great?
Yep. Just like, t-shirts, usually not bandages, but jeans I really like. I'm more, just kind of like mostly jeans, t-shirts. Always loved plaid. Always joke that like plaid is, like my inherited culture as a queer person, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I love, plaid has always been in style. Cargo shorts I wear less of.
Always, yeah.
Thanks to Sarah, helps me choose better clothes, but less cargo shorts, a little bit, more jeans. I love boots. I love Timbs.
Mm-hmm. You like suits?
I actually don't wear dressed up clothes very often. I'm very casual. Maybe that's kind of like going against my upbringing as religious, perhaps. I don't know. I wore way more ties when I was a little kid than I do now.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But I mean, like, it does feel good to be able to, get a little bit dressed up and wear a suit and look good, look sharp. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep. You got lots of good suits. I love your suits. Yeah, that's great.
Love the suits.
Yeah.
Okay. How about comfort food? What's your go-to?
Barbecue and fried chicken.
Okay, a specific kind of fried chicken?
Like fried chicken from like the South, like the way that they do it in Texas, and buttermilk fried chicken, really good, and then barbecue and like cornbread. And there's not a ton of cornbread up here, but really like cornbread. Yeah.
Has been a theme of fried chicken in this series.
Oh, really? It is good comfort food.
We'll have to all get together and
Jukes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You say you have a dog, right? So you're a dog person?
Dog person.
Not cat?
They've always been mean to me. I don't know.
Fair.
I've had some girlfriends who had cats and we did not get along. So, I mean, I love that other people love cats.
Yeah. You support them.
I support them.
Are you a city or a forest kind of person?
Man, it's a hard choice.
Both.
I like both.
Somewhere in between.
Yeah.
The suburbs.
Go. Yes. Not the suburbs, but I mean, I think in my younger years, city.
Yep.
And now I'm like wanting to go back to the forest, and I did spend a lot of time in the mountains when I was young, and I just feel like it's more peaceful, and I kind of like am inching towards the peaceful end of things as opposed to like the wild and
the city and
raucous side of things. And,
we got some good forest here.
Such good, such amazing forest. Yeah.
And do you have a favorite place to go in Vancouver or thing to do that you like to do?
I do like to go. I do like to go on hikes and do little river dips up in North Vancouver at Hyannis Point. This is really
refreshing
and glacier water thing to do. It's nice and cold.
If you dance, you dance? Do you like to dance?
I do.
Okay, what kind of music gets you going?
It's always been hip hop.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it just because it's political, it's emotional, it's fun, it's upbeat. It's always just more of what I loved. Yeah. I do like Doechii. Yeah. Yes.
Awesome.
She's very good. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your favorite season?
Spring. Because it's just like maybe like the gloom and depression starts to fade.
Vancouver
from everybody.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you go out, the sun's out, you're like, oh my God, people do live in this city.
Yeah.
I thought everybody left.
Right.
It's like sometimes you get to those points in the winter where you just go out. I'm like taking the dog out, looking around, being like, where is everybody?
Yeah.
So I like spring.
It's dark all day.
Yeah. Spring is nice.
Cherry blossoms.
Yep.
The best. Just thinking about, what we've chatted about today and what does representation mean to you?
I think representation is really important. I don't really represent anything except for myself, but I think that's the great thing about so many amazing people being able to tell their stories and get out there. I think that's probably one of the benefits. One of the, pros of maybe like this technology, social media age. There's lots of negatives, but the pros is like there's so many people like who, you don't need permission to put yourself out there. So then that helps people know all the differences that exist.
And the ways to be.
And various ways to be. And it helps people feel not so alone, which is always good. So.
Yeah. What would you say to that little Gwen trapped back in Mormonville? Or to somebody like that?
Yes.
Like you, who might be even out there now and has social media.
I would, couple things. One is you don't have to believe everything you think. That's helped me kind of like in many different ways over the past 20 years. And then also Brandy Carlisle, great artist, has the song, with the, what does it say? It says, only broken horses know to run. That's what I'd tell. It just doesn't seem okay now, but this is going to help. Yeah. And this is going to help you, be the person that you want to be. So
Love that.
Yeah. So got to put a little Brandy Carlisle quote
everywhere,
in there, I guess.
Always.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, and thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your story and telling us. It will make a difference to somebody out there. I know that.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Thanks for listening to Mr. Gendered, the show where we swap labels for lived experience and get curious about life beyond the binary. On Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, Mr. Gendered Pod, web, MrGendered.com, email, hello@MrGendered.com. That's MISTER. The doc, Not Quite That, is at notquitethat.ca, free to watch at TELUS Originals, Optic TV, and Knowledge Network.